We're in Season 6 of Warzone now, and there's so many weapons in the game, which is great, but with so many options, sometimes you cannot see the wood for the trees in terms of choosing the best or easiest loadout on Warzone, which is the case for everyone, but especially the case if you're a beginner or a casual player. So I thought I'd make this video and give you all the easiest weapons to get results in Warzone in my opinion. Even though I've played at various levels of Call of Duty for over 10 years now, if I've been away for a little while or simply can't be bothered to warm up, I still go to these types of classes because they're just so easy to use and incredibly forgiving if your aim isn't quite on point and stuff like that. So first up, it has to be the Grau 5.56. It did receive a nerf back at the start of Season 5 or at the end of Season 4 I think it was, but it's still ridiculous and certainly at the top end lobbies the most used assault rifle. And to be honest, it's still my go-to assault rifle and main weapon. If you've seen a few of my videos, you've probably seen my gold beauty of a Grau with a dog charm on it. I just love it. Why do I use it so much and why is it so good? Well, with the right attachments, its recoil is so little and its fire rate is so high, with a decent amount of damage in the mix too, so it's really forgiving if you miss a few bullets. When I play the odd tournament, this is the weapon I used to moan about most, just because it doesn't take much skill to get kills with. Unless you're at close range and have to ensure you hit most bullets upper body, as that's where this weapon is most vulnerable. But now I just let it go, especially since now I use it a lot. If you haven't unlocked the Grau yet and you don't have multiplayer, I did make a video a little while ago about the best ways to go about unlocking this weapon, which I'll put as a clickable card here and down in the description. Anyway, the attachments that make the Grau just ridiculously accurate and steady are monolithic suppressor, Temper's 26.4 inch arc angel barrel, commando foregrip, 60 round mags, and Cronin Sniper Elite rear grip. So get this on your Grau for the next time you hop on and just sit back and enjoy. Next, we've got the M13 and Kilo. These two ARs are both core weapons that don't need unlocking or anything, so everyone can use these, which is always nice. I've included them both here because they're quite similar in terms of their strengths and weaknesses, along with the most suitable attachments for them. What are those strengths? Well, to be honest, they're similar to the Grau in some ways, in that with the correct attachments, they are super steady in terms of recoil with killer accuracy. It's the accuracy and recoil control that really make ARs excel in Warzone, since it's such a huge map, so most of the gunfights are long range. The advantage the M13 and particularly the Kilo have over the Grau is that at close range, it's still highly effective. Now all of these ARs slightly differ in terms of damage, but the Grau and Kilo are the heavier damagers, but with a slightly slower fire rate, whilst the M13 has one of the best fire rates in its category, but has lower damage. Really, the M13 is more forgiving if you miss shots, but it does take more shots to kill people, so maybe go to the M13 if you're particularly struggling with your shot that day. Like I said, the attachments I advise using for these two weapons are basically the same and are as follows. Monolithic suppressor, the VLK 3x optic, commando foregrip, and 60 round mags. The only attachment they differ on is the barrel. The M13 has the Tempest marksman on, and the Kilo has the 19-inch Syngard arms barrel. The mix of attachments enhances the best assets of the M13 and the Kilo, and enables them to have a good enough aiming down sight speed for shorter to mid-range distance gunfights as well, basically meaning they can be deadly at any distance. The Grau does have the advantage that the iron sight is good enough to not require an additional scope, so you do have an extra attachment to apply with the Grau, but this isn't massively noticeable across the three weapons. Now let's talk about SMG options. My favourite is, and always has been on this game, the MP5. It's just a perfectly balanced weapon for close range and mid to close range gunfights. It has a great fire rate, good recoil control, and good damage. These assets also make it a great addition for our go-to easy to use classes for this video. The class setup I'm about to share here with you is great for beginners, tryhards, pros, and everyone in between. Partly because it's really good when hip firing too, so you can have that extra mobility and deadliness at close range. Okay, so what I suggest using is monolithic suppressor, tac laser, commando foregrip, 45 round mags, and stippled grip tape. Like I say, this setup is great and pretty easy to use. Obviously, towards the middle to long range, it's a little bit suspect, but that's to be expected with an SMG. I always advise running it with an AR or maybe even a sniper where possible, unless you're with a squad with a good balance of weapons between you all. Another SMG that I'm going to suggest for ease of use is the Aug. It has massive damage for an SMG and surprisingly good range. Because it does have such high damage, it does mean you can kill people in less bullets, but it does have a slower fire rate than other SMGs to balance it out a little bit. The class I'm going to suggest here is particularly thought of for solos and duos, but could be used in squad games if you're sure your squad is always supporting you. The reason for this is that I've gone for the 5.56 NATO 30 round mags for extra damage and range, along with monolithic suppressor, 622mm long barrel, tac laser, and commando foregrip. This mix of attachments jacks up the Aug's damage and range so much it's a little bit like a mini AR. And not only is it quite easy to get kills with, it's actually quite fun as well. So now we've got the main weapons covered that you should run for the easiest ride and, to be honest, the best chances of winning. But I'm just going to briefly mention a couple of snipers to use as well. Firstly, pop on the HDR for an uncomplicated and relaxing existence. The lack of significant bullet drop make it great at mega distances, its aiming down sight speed is decent, and it's got a good fire rate. You can use a whole bunch of different stuff on the HDR, but here's what I like to pop on. The monolithic suppressor, the 26.9-inch HDR barrel, the tac laser, the F-Tac Champion stock, and the perk focus. This gives it a great balance of long-range damage, but with an ADS time that's pretty respectable as well. I couldn't breeze past the sniper category without also mentioning the new marksman rifle, the R700, or SPR208 as it's also known. This is the new addition to Season 6, and wow, it's incredible. Its damage rivals that of the HDR and AX50, but benefits from a quicker fire rate, quicker ADS time, and quicker reload time. It is the best sniper to use currently, and I do actually expect it to get nerfed at some point, so maybe give this a run sooner rather than later, once you do unlock it. Class recommendations are, as usual, monolithic suppressor, the SPR 26-inch barrel, tac laser, variable zoom scope, and 10 round mags. This gives it a bit more range, which can be lacking a little bit with marksman rifles, but without sacrificing too much of that aiming down sight speed. Okay, just before I go, here's a bonus easy to use weapon that again can be useful to use at any level and ability. It's the Origin 12 shotgun. It did get nerfed back at the beginning of Season 6, but don't let that fool you, it's still ridiculous. With high damage and a quick fire rate, it can be devastating at close range and get you out of some very tricky situations. My recommended attachments are the choke muzzle for damage range and tighter pellet spread, then the forged tack impaler barrel for the same reasons, then the 5MW laser improving hipfire accuracy and sprint to fire speed, along with commando foregrip and the 25 round drum. So that's it for all the weapons. For the rest of the loadout, I'm gonna suggest some stuff that's just in my opinion, based on nothing too flashy, but ultimately will keep you alive longer. For equipment, it's gotta be the heartbeat sensor. It's just still the king or queen of equipment. For lethals, I think there's actually a new champion in town, now that the C4 has been heavily nerfed, and that is Semtex's. You can throw them super quickly, and get decent distance and damage on them. Because we don't have C4 to take out vehicles now and maybe flush out campers, I suggest using the RPG as your secondary weapon, especially as your first loadout drop class, and before you pick up any other great weapons to run as your secondary. Finally, for perks, it's simple to me. EOD for not getting blasted by explosives as easily, Ghost to avoid heartbeat sensors in UAVs, and Amped to swap weapons super quickly. Collectively, all of these options are pretty safe and solid choices, which absolutely tick all the boxes for the meta currently in Warzone. I make no apologies for pointing you towards them, and you should really embrace them. I know some people like to think they're of a higher class than others by avoiding the Grau and MP5 or whatever, but in my opinion, if you're going out there to win, use the best setup you can, it's as simple as that. Right, that's all from me in this video. I want to know what your favourite easy weapons to use are, especially when you maybe haven't been on for a few days and need a little bit of an easy ride. Or even as a suggestion for beginners who maybe don't play that often. Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. And if you can't get enough of Call of Duty videos, why not subscribe to the channel? Or even become a member by clicking join or finding the link down in the description for exclusive perks. Bye for now.